Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast, where we sit here and talk about all things Star Trek. I'm your host, Lars.
And I'm Patrick.
And we are going to dispense with the usual opening and greetings with the verbal bantering because this time in this premiere episode of Season 7, we have some extremely special guests. And when I say special, you know what I mean.
I do, but I'm not going to say it on camera.
Please welcome the crew and the cast of the Starship Tempest podcast. Thank you guys for coming on the show. It is an absolute pleasure.
Oh, hi. Thanks for having us.
We're happy to be here.
Thank you.
I'm uncomfortable with the sincerity.
Guys,
Travis, fake it.
just
Yeah.
remember
Fake
this
the
is what.
sincerity.
Yeah, that's right. This is what being a
We
patron
all
gets
fake
you.
it. That's the point.
Right?
You
Hey,
need to
this
put
is show
that in.
business. If you can fake sincerity, you got it made.
That's
Sorry,
right.
Lars.
If you go into all the Patreon tiers, just for the captain's level, just put also we will show up on your podcast.
Yeah, that should just be part of that.
That's fair.
I think that's fair.
Usually in these episodes, we kind of have a structure where we pick a topic. We talk about various aspects of topics. We looked at a script. This time, I am going to throw all of that out the airlock, and I'm just going to kind of have an open discussion with you guys about sort of how you got started, how you know each other, and what are some of the, most importantly, what are some of the fun challenges that go on behind the scenes of making this so far increasingly popular podcast.
Absolutely none. It goes off without a hitch.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time.
It's perfect, always. We always
100%
start
perfect.
exactly on time.
There are never any equipment issues, weird tech glitches whatsoever.
There are no interruptions from kids or cats.
No
Done.
editing needed. It's
Nope,
all done
none.
immediately.
It's all live.
Yep.
That's incredible.
We
You
actually-
must have
we're in
quite the
space. We have
collection of
actual
sound
feathers.
effects ready to go.
Yeah, Ryan has coconuts and shoes.
Yeah.
and-
I have a soundboard that looks like the cockpit of a 747, so I just got.
Oh my goodness. So first off, how long have you guys known each other?
About-
Sarah, you want to do it?
Sure. So we've all been friends and kind of family for about 20 years. The fellas all knew each other because they went to the same school in Daytona, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And I went to the school across the street, and we were all in theater. And our two theater departments met up one night, and I met Brian and I met our friend Rick. And they pointed to this guy dancing with a sword in costume. And I was like, yep, I'll take that one. And that was Ryan. And we've been married for 13 years. So
Wow,
Kills
that's
one,
the
please.
short version. Do you?
Short,
Yeah,
short
do you? Yes. Good. You're married. Kiss.
yeah. I mean, we did start our whole wedding ceremony out with the marriage speech. So
Oh, see, that's the stuff that it's just if you start off like that, it can't fail.
We
Because if you start
actually-
off laughing,
Oh, well, then all the guys in the crew of the show were in the wedding party. We had 35 people in the wedding party, and we started out with a fight scene, choreographed fight scene. It was a 4-hour rehearsal. Ryan made all the sound effects. We led this rehearsal, and everybody did this thing. We didn't tell anyone that was going to happen. So it was a big surprise for our families. I digress. but-
please tell me you played the Star Trek fight music.
we walked down the aisle to different songs when we first came out,
Yeah.
but after the fight scene we used the Omega 13 device to go back in time to
Oh,
fix
nice.
everything, obviously, and then
Of
we
course.
came back down the aisle to Star Trek. Yeah.
So
Very cool.
it was lovely. And just to go full circle, the reason why we did that was because we got married in a theater, in the very black box theater, where earlier she said our theater departments. That was really cute of Tara to upgrade what we had at Embry-Riddle, because what we had was a club, and she was in the actual department of her school. But anyway, we got married in the same club or the same black box theater in which we met. So that was really awesome.
Yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
That's sort of how we all met. That was the genesis, anyway.
Yeah.
For my being involved with all of them, they all met in different at different times and different ways around the school.
And it's somewhere in there we because we would make plays and things, and so at some point we started making like little short films because this was the day of like early mini DV cameras,
GL2 family,
GL2s and XL1s and that sort of thing. So we would start making just like little either like trailers, kind of like movie style trailers for the whatever play we were putting on, and then we started making little fan film and parody films, and just kind of like been doing that sort of goof off stuff ever since.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those things.
And this is
Yeah.
really just really a new form of one of those. Really,
It's true.
YouTube before YouTube, basically.
Yeah,
I-
pretty much.
Yeah.
So yes, in the sense that like the first film that Ryan and I made that was like a Star Wars parody, a self-contained thing, was right before YouTube started as a thing, and my sister and brother-in-law are computer people like by profession, so they had their own web server, and I put it up, and then I put a link on a fan film message board or something, and like totally crashed my sister's computer server with all the people who were trying to watch this like 4-minute video or whatever it was.
Which was just me 100,000 times. That was-
Yeah.
So actually predating, not by much, but legitimately predating YouTube by a little bit, and then obviously YouTube came along, and our stuff is still there. Injured Stormtrooper is one of the Star Wars fan films we made at the time, and that's got millions of views at this point after
Wow, that's nice.
however many years it's been. Yeah.
Actually, I got to witness a moment where a friend, Ryan and I made a new friend, and we were talking about Star Wars, and he said, "Oh, have you ever seen The Injured Stormtrooper?" And Ryan was like, like, I made that. I'm in that. It was a great
That
moment.
was funny.
And they have like a scanner's moment.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
yeah.
But so now we do it in Star Trek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we this was Brian's baby. Brian very easily, I think, got Ryan on board. But I was the hard sell because I was pregnant, and I was like, I'm not gonna record a podcast with a newborn. Are you guys out of your mind? I'm not doing that. And they're
And
like,
we
yeah,
went,
but
"Yes,
it's
we
Star
are."
Trek, and Travis is gonna play, and TJ's gonna play, and I was like, okay.
And
Okay.
don't worry, it's only several years worth of commitment.
That's fine. Yeah.
That would not. Yeah, we also have a habit of having fun ideas that then turn into way more work than we ever
That is true.
anticipated. And this absolutely is also along those lines. Yeah, I mean, so the origin story for Tempest specifically is basically I was working in an office with a friend of mine, and it was a really long commute. And so at some point she was like, "Hey, I listened to this podcast that's like some brothers and their dad playing D&D that I think is really funny. You want to listen to it?" Sure. Which is The Adventure Zone. And so at some point in like the hours and hours of listening to their first campaign on those commutes, I was like, just had the thought of like, yeah, it'd be fun if like Ryan and Tara, we got all of my friends, like we got together and did this, the stuff that we used to do, but like as this is like a a role playing game, but for Star Trek, because I mean my number one fandom is Star Trek, and we're all huge Star Trek fans. So like I want to tell a story, and I'll run and I'll be the game master and tell a Star Trek story, and they can all be the crew, and it'll be so much fun and awesome. And
so easy.
and it'll be so easy.
Just because it's just sound.
It's fine.
It honestly, like it literally was. I had the thought of like, we used to make all these funny videos in college, but now we live all across the country, and we all have real jobs and families and blah blah blah. So like this will be a way we can sort of do like what we used to do, but it will be way less effort and of a time commitment because it's just sound and not a full short film movie visual thing.
Yeah.
And yet somehow we have still managed to turn it into an all-consuming thing. But
Although I will say, the timing ended up being perfect.
the most important
because-
part of comedy. Go on.
Yes, is timing. We just got this off the ground in what we started practicing and playing in 2019
Yeah.
at some point, and then 2020 hit, and we had this, and we didn't have anything else. Well, we couldn't go anywhere. We didn't see anyone. We lived in these bubbles, and it was like, okay, well, we have this lifeline at least, right? And a lot of people found our podcast at that same time of just like, I need something fun and light, and I love Star Trek, give me something new, because there wasn't a bunch of new Trek at that time. So we filled this nice niche that we needed and other people needed at the same time, and so it ended up being sort of this serendipitous thing. And as much as I was exhausted and holding a newborn, I was also, looking forward to goofing around and talking Star Trek with my friends. So,
Yeah.
Yay for COVID.
Yay for
Yeah.
COVID.
Yay for Tempest.
Yeah.
more
Let's go that
more
way.
like.
For COVID,
Yay
it's
for
like
silver lining.
hip,
Yeah,
hip
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
So Brian, we're at the time when you guys started. Were you the gamer of the group per se?
No, not really. So I had done a little bit of playing D&D in quote unquote campaigns that did not last for very long. So I played a little bit of D&D, but I had never GM'd before. Travis and Matt had Matt had like the most experience in terms of playing role-playing games at the table.
which is why we didn't invite him at first.
That's true.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were like,
you guys
he's
wanted to
gonna
suffer to learn first, and then I could just come in and correct all your mistakes.
When we first started, I had played a grand total of 2 campaigns, one in the Fate system, one in sort of homebrew Exalted based system, and I had by far the most experience in terms of gameplay
Yeah,
of us.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Travis
so, yeah,
kept going, I don't think that's how you do this. And we're like, we don't know, Travis.
And in fairness, I was
Like, how do you
wrong in
know?
a solid quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, we're like, oh, listen to Travis.
But then Matt came on, and Matt is much more experienced on this stuff, and so that's helped.
Yeah.
So
But it's also like, Star Trek Adventures is the system that we use, which is Star Trek Adventures specific to Star Trek, is also very different
Oh,
from.
nice book.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to get mine up. Couldn't
there
hold
you
up.
go.
Oh,
quicker.
yeah.
Yeah, I got mine right here because we were recording, so I always have it
Awesome.
on hand
Oh, that's awesome.
when we're recording a mission. So yeah, it wasn't terrible or not terrible in that sense, and sort of that, like, at least for the Star Trek Adventure system, we were all kind of starting from zero, and it's such kind of a its own beast that even if you have played D&D or Pathfinder or anything like that, like, you kind of have to start from scratch with Star Trek Adventures because it's its own thing. But no, I had never GM before. I'd never like run a campaign before. I'd never run a session as a GM, let alone a full campaign. And so it was very much like, all right, I'm gonna dive into this like huge skill set thing that I have no experience in, and let's see how it goes. And spoiler alert, the first thing we ever did, it did not go well.
Oh, it was so
Oh,
funny.
God.
I believe it was either biological clock was the first mission we did, or I can't. It was one of the ones from
The
the
book
from the
ones.
campaign book,
Yeah.
and it was so hilarious how badly it went. Like I can't. It's really got to be. It's one of those you had to be there kind of moments. But all of us were like doubled over laughing at how incompetent we were at just
Like-
doing something as simple as trying to get out of the way of a blaster fire.
But
Or
we're
something
like,
that.
okay, I'm gonna use my action to lay prone.
It
Is
was-
that the thing I should do?
Oh,
So
no.
it was actually the starter mission in the core rulebook.
Oh,
So
it
it's like a
was,
little
okay.
mini
Oh,
mission.
yeah.
And like before we had started, like we had set this time and we all like, got online to do it. And I like looked over the rules, read the basic stuff and felt like I had a pretty decent understanding of it. And then we like actually started, and I literally, my eyes would not focus on anything after a certain point. Like, Like, I have no idea how to do any of this, and they're like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we never even made it out of the landing shuttle.
I don't think so. Did a lot of rolling.
Yeah, you did, but like you tried to avoid a lightning strike and did not.
Yeah.
Oh, I
At
forgot
some
about
point,
that.
We licked some of the natural fauna and in the area.
And
I remember
frogs.
that.
We were
And
licking
frogs.
frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for.
Right. I was like,
Specifically the highlighter colored ones. Yeah.
we hung up from that first recording, and I turned to Ryan and I was like, I don't think we should release this to the public. Like, this is silly for us. I don't think anybody's going to want to listen to this madness. And I mean, as we progressed and got better, it was like, okay, all right, well, nice cat butt in the.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for
thought you
that.
guys-
We always like our cat butt here.
Yeah, that first mission is such a funnier story than it would be a funny listen.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
totally.
behind the scenes is the making of would probably be a much funnier story.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
by far.
We've had so many moments like that where just stuff we had to delete, but at the time we're all just dying. Like, especially with, Ryan and I have 3 kids, and we've got a dog and 2 cats, and Brian's got 2 cats, and Matt's got a menagerie of animals, and Travis has a dog, and so there's always somebody that needs something from one of us, and we're like, just give me just 5 minutes, dog's gotta go out, I'll be right back, or whatever thing, and it's a
always a type
miracle, right? It's
Yeah.
a miracle we ever get anything done.
That's gonna so Patrick is the, I guess, I won't call him the rules lawyer because that's not accurate. He is the rules encyclopedia.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to call me something else.
Well, no, that'll be off camera.
You would.
Yeah.
But when I started looking at the idea of running Star Trek Adventures myself, Patrick was the first person I tapped because he's the kind of person he'd like he'll sit there and go like this, like, oh yeah, Star Trek. Okay, what do you want to know?
And I know
Not
everything.
quite that fast, but yeah.
I would say he does this little thing that we saw in a movie that we saw years ago about some gamers. He booksterbated it, and and immediately
Yes.
I knew that I was in good hands because I could ask him pretty much.
I was in
any
better
question.
hands.
Aha.
Yeah, and I knew he could just answer any question I have, and I'm still like in the preparation stage because for whatever reason I took it upon myself to work 60-hour weeks, and now I'm thankfully coming to the end of that life cycle, and we'll have more time for
Good for you.
more time for activities and so much more room.
Yeah.
But
great.
yeah, so
enjoy thinking that until you don't have that anymore. It somehow always vanishes.
Yeah, right?
I know that so Patrick and I did a very blue humored podcast years ago. I had just come back from New Zealand and in like 2010, and he and I sat down one day and we're like, we've always been creatives. We've always kind of come up with just random ideas to do. I will spare you the names of some of the videos that we produced after I got back from New Zealand because they are, yes, that bad.
Some of them are bad enough. We kind of want to pull some of the stuff from existence. Bad.
Yeah, sort of like we're gonna,
There's a few things that need to be edited out.
yeah. So yeah, and that's a good segue because the whole point is we ran this podcast, and for me, all I had to do is show up. I sat in front of a microphone and we talked. We basically shot the shit back and forth.
Right.
It was all audio. It was back and
I
forth.
chopped
People
the
were-
audio up and made it into a show.
Yeah.
Yay.
And then we decided, because of course we had dreams of absolute grandeur, that we wanted to be sponsored, but we knew nobody would sponsor us because we're just a couple of Joe Nobodies. So we
Right,
started
right.
writing our own promos.
Oh, nice.
And so it came down to, I kind of was the ideas man. I
was
would
literally
give him an idea and say, look, here, how about this? Can you come up with this? We came out with certain wonderful ideas like what was it, doublemyscam.com,
Yep.
the Hitmanogram,
Shit on the wall.
and shit on the wall.
Literally.
And
That got made into a video version. I had to come up with how to make shit to throw at a wall.
made of chocolate sauce and peanut
I
butter, wasn't
succeeded.
it?
Oh God.
There was peanut butter involved. It was delicious. Yeah.
But one of the things that, as I was saying, is I kind of all I'd do is show up and just shoot the shit, and then he would hand me an episode a couple of days later to upload.
Yeah.
And this is back before there were, back before even I think Spotify was actually even a thing, let alone a platform to, before they would do podcasts or anything. So we just hosted on our own website, and we had, believe it or not, actually had a fairly decent following. But
That's great.
the whole point of this is extremely long roundabout.
It's okay, you're fine.
Is that Patrick would spend hours upon hours upon hours editing the ums, the ahs, the screw ups, the mispronunciations, the parts where I would have to try to read something, and I'd be like, my eyes would be going cross-eyed trying to read something on a page and have to start over 3 times or 4 or 10.
Right.
Right.
So that leads into you guys. Is it Travis and Ryan? You guys do the editing?
Yes, the preliminary editing is done by Travis. Travis, you want to take that?
Sure. I also realized, should we do introductions at some point?
Oh, wait a minute. Who? What? Huh?
I'm
I'm sorry. They see your name on the screen.
Throwing names around.
Yes.
I guess we do have a name. Ryan's his full name.
Yes.
I'm a professional.
That's fine.
So we record everything. Usually we get it recorded in a single, ranges anywhere between 4.5 to 5.5 hour session. Everybody uploads to a shared drive. I pull it down onto my own computer. I use DaVinci Resolve simply because I already use that for video stuff, and it also has a very strong audio editing suite as well, and it's free. I ended up getting the paid version recently so that we could do a little more work with it, but even the free version is just awesome for people to use because it's so good.
That's cool.
I go through and listen to everybody chatting. I cut out all of the things like we always take essentially sort of a break in the middle. Matt's computer wants to explode after about 2 hours. So,
Correct.
So we make sure to like hit stop, resync everybody together, and just get everything set up. So it's like I cut out that 30-minute break that we may take. We may take 5-10-minute breaks here and there. Usually I can whittle that down, cutting out lip smacks, those sorts of things.
I didn't know you did all that.
Yeah.
All of it.
I say a lot. I'll try to stop you.
That would be great, Tara.
Okay.
So that cuts it down to usually somewhere between 3.5 to 4.5 hours usually. Like we cut out a lot of that. Again, a lot of that is just we're taking a break. Someone has, I have to run to the bathroom, and then they're like, well, while you're doing that, we're gonna go put the kid to bed, and while you're so we just take breaks here and there. If we forget a rule, we have to look a rule up.
Which is all the time. All the freaking time.
Less so now. We're a couple seasons.
We're
now.
getting better.
No. You don't forget the rules.
That's
We
true.
forget the
That
rules
is true.
because we don't do the homework.
Yeah.
we,
I do.
we cut out the parts. We cut out the parts where I'm explaining the rules to everybody.
That's right.
Yes.
And Matt. Matt actually,
Yeah.
by the time Matt joined, since he just was better at this stuff than us, he walked in and already knew a lot of the stuff that we didn't know.
Yeah, I'm the greatest role-playing game player of all time. I beat Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
And so humble.
Wait a minute. First or second edition? 80.
Actually, second and then third 3.5. So.
Yeah, but that's just torture, to be honest.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is
I didn't know if
absolute
that
pure
existed.
masochism.
Yeah.
So after I cut all that stuff out, I upload what I call the cleaned versions. I also do like the basic noise reduction, getting rid of background, like fuzz and whatnot, just to kind of get everything into a sort of much cleaner. Everybody's voices are about leveled, and get that onto the drive, and then Ryan pulls all that down. At that point, it is conveniently just aligned so that he doesn't have to try and like match everybody's dialogue up. I'm the one that does that ahead of time, so then at that point it's just like it's at a point that he can put it into a space and listen to it, and then he can do all of the audio engineering magic that he does, which is awesome and brings the show to life, as opposed to just listening to us talk for 3 hours.
Yeah. What Travis does, like I did all of that for I can't remember if it was all of season 1 or just maybe it was just even the first mission, but regardless, it was too much. And already we have the production pipeline is a very, very long process. Our recording to release timeline is probably about 6 to 8 months. It's a long time before we get a finished product from a recording session. Travis does all of that amazing heavy lifting to make my life that much easier. And it is, thank you, Travis. And
sorry, kids, thank you, Travis.
Yes.
If they ever see Ryan.
And Tara thanks you.
Yes.
Once I get it, it's just I do a little bit of more editing down to try to streamline the moments to make it flow a little better, and then drop in the sound effects. Recently, with season 2 and beyond, we're starting to incorporate more music, and we're trying to get more advanced. Basically, every single year, we want to try to up the game a little bit so that our production quality is going to be just that much better every year. So that's the goal, and hopefully along the way, people will start seeing or maybe not. Here's the thing about being a sound designer. The greatest sound design that is done goes completely unnoticed because you really only notice sound when it's bad. So hopefully nobody notices our sound.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're just in it.
Yeah.
I do, but that's because I'm the sound person.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, every single thing we've done over the years, Patrick has either been the audio editor and or the sound recorder. I can still remember a particularly traumatic 48-hour film festival entry where
The Mormon marriage video.
where we're outside trying to capture a scene outside, and like we're sitting there and he's listening, he's got the boom and he's listening on his headphones, he's got the little recorder going, and he's just no, that's not working. What's going on? So I was like, let me listen. And all I'm hearing, like we're not even hearing the people talking. The microphone's like right there by them, and all we're hearing is a like traffic. All the traffic behind us.
Yeah.
Oh man, come on, man. So eventually we were able to kind of get it all sorted. But yeah, we've had some wonderful fun adventures in making things come to life, and I think that's part of the magic of what we do as creators, is because it's a lot of times it's very difficult to see the end product. And I'm kind of the as I've mentioned before, in our group, I'm the ideas guy. I'm kind of the what if person, and I lay something on the table, and then next thing I know, Patrick's like, oh yeah, bleh, and there it is.
I made the thing.
Yeah, there you go, right on it. Well, look at that. I didn't think you could spit up a meal like that, but here we are. And
I think one thing we got in there was that we very early embraced the chaos of it. When we first started, I think one of the big arguing points that we were always like, we don't know if we can do this, was because of all of like it was brought up, we have all of these various things that make recording and scheduling all difficult. And I think it was a matter of, after we'd done it a few times, we were like, you know what? We're just going to leave the kid interrupting in an edit. Like, it's fine. As long as there's nothing, like, bad or worrisome about it. It's like, just embrace the fact that we are friends doing this thing.
Doing a podcast,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, minor little bits of interruptions. You can kind of gloss over that if you hear a kid crying or a dog barking.
Yeah.
Some of them
as
are
long
funny.
as they're as long as they're funny, like, screw it.
It's fine. It's our real life.
I remember, because we went back and forth a long time for a while about that, about how what to do and what would be the best way to acknowledge that. And so we eventually came up with the idea, well, let's just be completely honest with the listenership right up front, and that's why we put it immediately into our opening monologue.
Yeah.
Space the Final Frontier. and then we get into defending our keyboards from kids and cats, and so we're just putting it out there. Like this is a bunch of friends playing a game, and that is why you're going to hear these things from time to time, and it really encapsulates. I think it creates a more genuine relatability than something that was maybe a little bit more polished, which was honestly that was originally my goal, was to have it sound much more polished. But it's just A, too labor intensive, too time intensive, and B, I really think it like I said, it makes a more genuine product for the listeners. So
because then it's actual play and not just a show.
Correct.
Right. Yes. We have a friend, Jane. She and her husband and kids, they're a military family, so they move all over the place, and they lived in Japan and Italy and Budapest, and so they're all over the world. And she said she loves our podcast so much because she feels like she's just playing with us. She's just sitting down with her friends. And she's like, some of the jokes, like old inside jokes, occasionally we'll just drop and leave there and laugh to ourselves and never explain. And she's like, but I got it. I was there that one time. So there's little nuggets like that for old friends. And she said, I love hearing those random interruptions, or, you guys goofing around because one of the kids farted on the microphone. Like, terrific. That's terrific and real. And
we're leaving that in. You better.
We're leaving it.
Somebody fired the photon torpedoes.
Exactly right.
Well, that's what I'm calling it from now on. Oh, and Brian had to go take it a step too far.
Of course he did, because that's
Totally.
How do you know where the line is if you don't cross it?
That's
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
we must draw the line here.
No further.
Maybe a little bit over here. We'll play it by ear.
Just a little further. No.
Damn it, Brian, bring your foot back.
Back
Make it a dotted line.
I think I picked up the podcast probably, I want to say, towards the end of your first season, and I went back and listened to like the introduction and kind of everybody, you guys getting everything spun up and everything, and I've come to one conclusion, that Matt's character is the crotchety old guy who's going to be sitting there like, when shit goes really sideways, the camera's just going to like pan straight to him and go, I told you. You didn't listen to me, did you? well, so what's your idea? Well, what we used to do to take on the Borg is, I would put like an onion on my phaser belt because that was the style of the time.
He would.
Back in my day, we used to pull start our starships.
So
When I
my
was
favorite
young,
thing.
when I was young, the Klingons had flat foreheads. Sure, Grandpa.
Whatever you say. Let's get you to bed, Grandpa.
So my favorite thing about Matt joining us after, because you came in season 2, right? Or,
Yeah.
Because
The last episode of season 1, I was.
you were a guest.
I was a guest, and then I was regular season.
For
2.
season 2, and one of the things that I had a big kick out of was because Matt, and I think it was a wake-up call for us as players a little bit, because Matt had played before, and he was reckless is not the right, but it was really drawing to me to see that, like, by the end of the second season, which we just released the finale a little while ago, by the end of the second season, like, Conrad Smythe, this ancient, not Starfleet ex-professor, had gotten injured more than our throwaway joke Mayfly, who literally are like, he's going to die on every mission, and he had never been injured, and
Once.
Smythe, in like the first season, gets injured multiple times.
Yeah.
Because as a player, he's just like, I'm just going to go try and do the thing and see what happens. But
Yeah.
we were always so nervous and reserved because we weren't quite as experienced, and we weren't, driving our characters like we stole them. And so,
Yeah, it's,
Like-
it's not a video game. You're not going to die if you get hit once.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's very hard to kill a character in this.
Oh,
He's
So
uh,
we started to
Yeah.
get a little more out there as time went past, and it was a good learning experience on that front. So
yeah.
It
I
seems
mean-
like his character is much the Whistler from Blade,
yeah,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, we
you're
recorded
gonna get
last
your
night, and I
arm
did-
blown off. That's all right. I got a second one.
No,
You know?
I mean, I did something absolutely insanely stupid last night when we recorded.
That's
So
true.
You'll hear it in about a year.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like,
Wave a
whatever,
light
just
over it,
do
it'll be fine.
A year
Yeah.
later, I'll be like, oh, so there it is.
That was last
Yeah.
night.
Oh, that was dumb, huh?
Yeah, not only was it dumb, but Travis totally called you out and said, "Don't do this. This is dumb." and then you did it. Yeah, it's great. So again, yeah, look for that in 2025. It should be great.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick plays a lot of he's probably games twice, 3 times a week easily. Whereas
I started two D&D campaigns in the last month to be exact.
Oh
wow.
my god.
DMing both of them.
Mm.
Man.
Wow.
Wow.
Brian melts
Glutton.
immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you so
Brian's
much.
like,
Wow.
oh my word! In the words of Lieutenant Doe, I do declare.
I do declare, my, you have put a lot on your plate, sir. I will say.
But the one thing I love about role playing is that it allows me to be absolutely absurd. I think that's the best part about role playing. I don't think a lot of people get, because I say that there's a bunch of nerds rolling around a bunch of polyhedral dice and and coming up with withered spells and I mean, but I like to play characters that are so far afield that you're like, where the hell did this guy come from? My most recent iteration in our D&D campaign that we play on Friday nights is a druid, and I sort of modeled him after Sylvester McCoy's rendition of Radagast the Brown.
Wow.
So the dude kind of like imagine basically a pot smoking hippie that kind of strolls around, just walks right in the middle. Like, doesn't matter what the hell's going on. I mean, they could be in like the worst fight ever. Or like, oh, look, that's a cursed item. And he'll walk through the scene chewing a piece of grass. He'll pick up the cursed item and go, and walk away,
Yeah.
What if I lick it?
Yeah, what would happen?
I will say that that is something that we as a group, I think, are absolutely getting better at as the show goes on.
Yeah.
There was I would say there was comparatively so, there was very little role-playing going on during season 1, where we would just, instead of role-playing something, we'd say, oh, Maddox does this. We would like narrate it instead of role-playing it. And then as we got more comfortable with the process and getting more, comfortable in those shoes, and we definitely have gotten better to the point where like there are choices that everybody makes in season 3 that will alter their characters to some extent, and then the same thing is already happening in season 4. And it's because we just recorded mission 3 of season 4 last night, and it's a lot of fun because you're absolutely right. We're finally getting to the point where we're living in our characters as opposed to narrating what our characters are doing. We're living through them, and it's getting interesting.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot. It's getting fun.
When we started, I was so nervous because like I love Star Trek. But like, I didn't even watch Star Trek until my mid 20s. Like
2004.
I didn't watch it growing up. First of all, I would come home from school. It was I would watch Animaniacs and Bonkers and whatever else was on, and then the next thing that was on was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that meant I had to do my homework. So forget that show. Never watched it. I will never like it.
She hated it due to Pavlovian response.
Just for that, just because now I have to do my homework. So when I met Ryan, he was like, "Can I just show you one episode? And if you don't like it, that's fine." And I was like, "Yeah, fine." And so he showed me Data's Day, which is a great episode.
That
and
is
I loved
my
it.
absolute favorite episode of TNG.
It's so good. And so, but I played it off, right? I played it super cool. I was like, yeah, it's fine. That's fine. So he goes to work or his internship the next day or for the next like week. And he comes home one day. He comes home earlier than expected. And he catches me watching TNG by myself, and I turn it off like he caught me cheating.
Her reaction was exactly that. It was as if I had walked in on her with a lover, and it was, oh, I wasn't doing it.
And he's like, do you do this every day? And I was like, yeah. I said, so I thought if I watched a lot of it by myself, then I could like impress you later at a party one day, just like, surprise, I actually know a lot now. And so I've loved it since then, but
Surprised you made it past Code of Honor.
Anyway, well, I didn't start at the
Really
beginning.
didn't start with Code of Honor.
Good idea.
Yeah, I didn't start at the beginning.
I couldn't find that DVD.
Yeah, well, no, because I was watching them on TV. We had cable, even though I wasn't paying for it in my apartment. And Spike TV aired 3 episodes back to back to back. So I was just watching those 3 episodes on cable. And so I was watching whatever was on at the time. It didn't happen to be season 1, and that's probably for the best.
Well, for Data's Day, I remember I went to Brian because Brian had the complete
all
DVD
the DVDs.
collection.
That's right.
So I borrowed specifically that disc to show you Data's, because I was either going to show you Data's Day or Cause and Effect, but
Also
I
a good
decided with Data's Day. So
so anyway, that all being said, even though I have loved TNG forever now, just half my life now, but I hadn't seen the original series. I hadn't seen, a lot of the rest of Star Trek in that interim, and I've seen a lot more in later years. But when we started recording, I was like, I'm not as well versed as you guys. Like, I'm not going to get the jargon right. I'm going to, I'm the doctor. I can't say doctory things on the fly. Like, I'm going to mess this up. Like, I don't think you want me on the show. Don't use me. Use someone else who's better at Star Trek. And Ryan and Brian are like,
Tara is a
no.
great actual actress as well. Like, actually does that.
And
well,
way
and
better at character work than any of the rest.
Right.
Technically.
Like this worry that like I'm not going to be able to play this role. It's like we were all like, "You're kidding, right?" Like this is...
No, I was legitimately nervous every recording until I started doing Eel, because Eel's accents are my like comfort place. Because if I'm in an accent, I'm not actually thinking about what I'm saying. I'm not actually there. It's sort of a form of dissociation. I just let that person say whatever they say. Luckily, they are usually funny, so that's helpful. But once I had Eel in my back pocket, I was like, cool. Can I do anyone else? And Brian's like, you need to lean into Teal and figure her out. And I'm like, yeah, but she's my normal voice, and that's boring.
It's like Seth MacFarlane playing Brian.
Yeah.
Right.
Brian,
totally.
Bud, Stewie, and Peter.
Everyone. Yeah.
And so we have done. Tara and I have been fortunate enough to be performers in a couple of audio dramas, including one, Our Fair City, where I got to play this over the top mad scientist. And Dr. Herbert West, and Tara's character was one of the show's most beloved characters, but it was her own voice, so she hated it.
I was like, can I do an accent or something? They're like, no, we just want your voice.
We like your voice. Yeah.
But luckily she turned into a zombie, so that was nice.
Yeah, that's true. But to Tara's point, though, and I think this is something that if anybody's listening and trying to get into role play, I think it's a really good trick to use. If you don't use your own voice, it's very similar to when actors are put in prosthetics and they're wearing a great costume, because once you don the costume, you can more easily become and embody that character. And for audio dramas and podcasts, it's the same exact way. Once you put on a crazy voice and you're comfortable with that voice, the freedom that you feel in your character is very, very liberating.
Who are you calling a crazy voice?
Excuse me, fellas, while I step out for a bit of bangers and mash.
Yeah. that bloke knows what I'm talking about. That's it there.
It's kind of funny because I feel like whenever I hear Teal speak, I always liken Eel,
Oh, that's right.
as Counselor Troy's like backwater cousin.
I'll take that.
Literally, because he's an eel.
Yeah.
Yes, some of the characters are just absolutely they're just, no matter what value they are to the story or the game, they're just great entertainment value. You know, and I mean, I think my favorite NPC so far has to be Mayfly.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Because the crew member who should live the shortest is like the most badass.
I can't believe that
can't
keeps
kill him.
happening. I
We try so hard.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I love that that's just like that was from just a straight off like off the cuff joke from
About red shirts having a short lifespan. Yeah.
Well, no, specifically it was because it was from the first mission, like episode 2, literally episode 2 or 3 of the whole thing. And it was the derelict ship with the time weapon on it that sped up time
that's
or
right.
whatever.
That's
it was.
right. That's right.
And like we had already established, you know, all of the supporting characters on the Tempest are animals, and so it's just like, well, don't bring Lieutenant Mayfly with you, but otherwise you'll all be fine.
And he became a red shirt because of
Has
it.
spawned, yeah.
I get it, spawned.
I will say that I did shed a short tear when you guys lost. Was it Sparrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was Sparrow.
Oh.
Yep.
Another great example of like what I love about the like storytelling in this kind of medium in this mode is like the push and pull of a lot of different forces, right? And part of that is like the spontaneity of like you can come up with whatever, and then but you're bringing other people into it, and so there's other agencies involved in deciding where the story goes, which is just really cool.
Nobody knows the ending.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
That's great.
But then also the mix of like what you have planned versus the improv aspect, because so we all like have a common improv background. So you know whatever you might have planned or whatever I may have planned or not as the GM versus the spontaneity improv of like what hits any individual person in the moment. And so that's a perfect example where just like just in that moment, I was like, you guys have not had a single red shirt die yet.
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity to just kill off a red shirt, like, you know, to do the classic Star Trek thing. And like that was all that was in my head at the moment of like, you guys have gone this far without losing a single nameless extra. It's time that happened.
He had a name.
And it's one that we named.
But yeah, he would already named
Say
him.
his
And so
name,
even-
Brian. Say his name.
So even that
kill him.
like off the cuff in the moment impulse has itself like cascaded into this thing that has these really cool implications.
And that ripple effect of Sparrow's death, actually, as seemingly minuscule and minor a thing that it was in the context of that particular mission, it has ripples that actually affect things that happen in season 2, season 2,
End of season 2. Yeah.
When Goodspeed steps away. And then also it continues on. I won't give any spoilers, but something pretty cool happens in season 3, and it's all because of that one roll. It was the one roll, the roll of the dice that changed the course of that character, and by extension TJ. Now our good friend TJ, there was no drama involved in TJ stepping away from the show. It was purely a scheduling conflict. My schedule is terribly difficult to manage. His schedule is terribly difficult to manage. All of our schedules combined is almost impossible. So we
three different time zones.
Yeah.
So
was a
that's
mess.
why we ended up. TJ said, "I think I should probably step away so that you guys can have a little bit better chance of scheduling." Anyway, all that to say, that was a perfect opportunity because it happened on that character's watch. It happened on Goodspeed's watch, and he used that roll of the dice to affect to inform his decision to leave the ship, and that was just it was just so beautiful. I love it. I love role playing in that way.
That's one of the best parts about what you guys do with your stories is that I guess the one of the hallmarks of any good story is that when you have characters who are seemingly innocuous or have no tethering connection, eventually they grow in such a way that something that starts off fairly two-dimensional suddenly is breathed a life of its own, and it starts to you start to see the third dimension of what these characters become. I had the pleasure of, and I actually hate to say the word pleasure because I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, but I watched Clerks 3 last night.
Oh.
And I was like, I thought to myself, there's no way that Kevin Smith can make another Clerks or Clerks 2. He just can't. And he didn't. He didn't.
Okay.
But at the same time, by the time I was at the end of the movie, you know, I was like, and I've told Patrick before, when I look at the characters of Dante and Randall, I see him and myself because we've been friends for so long, and we are on such opposite spectrums as far as our personalities go. But you suddenly see like the Red Sea departs, and you see the base, you see the ocean floor,
Yeah.
you see what has formed the basis of this relationship for all these years, and you're just
Yeah.
like, you know, speechless, like, what the hell did I just watch? And so the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is that it is a wonderful experience to sit there and see something that you take with your heart and your soul, and something you did just for fun, just to see what you could do with it. And of course, you're well over 50,000 downloads, right? I mean, where are you?
We're
Yeah.
at like 65.
Yeah.
Almost 65. Yeah.
Right, and that's an amazing achievement. In what I mean, given the fact that podcasts these days are at a saturation level, you know, you can't turn sideways without bumping into a podcast.
It's true.
So it is good that you guys stand out. I'm very proud to be a fan and a supporter of the show. I look forward to seeing what comes up in the next season, and I'm hoping that, you know, we get a lot more laughs along the way. I'm going to impart you guys with one last piece of wisdom that I have come to accept in gaming, and that is, just remember, there is no I in team, but there's 6 eyes, and I don't give a shit the size of the room. I cast Fireball.
Oh, that's terrific.
And with that being said, I would like to sincerely thank Ryan, Tara, Brian, Matt, and Travis for joining us here from the Starship Tempest show. It is an absolute pleasure, guys. I look forward to seeing more of you. And yeah, thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure.
And as we wrap up this first episode of season 7, we just want to remind you to say thank you for supporting us for all these years we've been doing this show. Make sure to check us out on our socials, are up here now. For those who are playing the home version of the game, please check us out.
I'm not even going to try to point.
That's right. Because you'll point.
Because I used the wrong finger.
Oh.
That's how we're going to play that.
Yeah.
So, and also, please be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. You'll find us at redshirtgeeks.tv, where you can find, believe it or not, the last 9, and as of next year, will be 10 years of content.
Damn, I'm old.
Holy
That's
cow.
amazing.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
including the very first video, which we have dubbed the Mormon marriage video.
Oh,
That being
God.
said, thank you for watching Star Trek, watching Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Lars.
And I'm Patrick.
And as always, remember to go boldly and to rock out with your Spock out.
All right.
We'll see you next time, guys.